Hello, everyone. My name is V. I'm the LSA Membership and Governance Director. Thank you for joining us today. Today's webinar is a very special one because we are trying to, in 1 hour, give you a very high-level information and snapshot of what the 2024 LSA Annual Meeting has to offer for you guys as participants. We are also very pleased to introduce you to some of our LSA leaders. As you know, it's always great to put a face to a name. So when you are in New York, if you see us, please come and say hello. We'd love to know who you are and understanding your interest in linguist. Now, let's start with the introductions of our panelists. I will go around the room to our panelists and ask you guys to introduce yourself. Can I start with you, Brian?
Sure. I'm Brian Joseph. I'm a professor in the linguistics department at The Ohio State University. I've been an LSA member since 1976 and have been involved with the LSA in other ways. I was the editor of language in the early 2000s, LSA president in 2019, and currently I'm the chair of the Centennial Planning Committee.
Thanks, Brian. Marlise, over to you, please.
Thank you, V. My name is Marlise Battista, and I am the incoming president-elect of the LSA. Very humbling position to be in, for sure. I've been a member of the LSA since 2000, and I have operated in all kinds of different functions for the society, including program committee chair, as well as executive committee member, as well as associate editor for language. So this is a society, you can tell, to which I'm quite devoted to.
Thank you, Marlise. Marie, over to you, please.
Hi, my name is Marie Bissell. I'm a graduate student at Ohio State, and I'm the chair of COSIAC, which is the Committee on Student Issues and Concerns. I've been coming to LSA meetings since I was a senior in undergrad, so 2017 or so.
Thanks, Marie. Jordy?
Hello, hi, my name is Jordy. I am LSA's Business and Administrative Assistant. Looking forward to today's session.
Thanks, Jordy. Hadas, please.
Hi, I'm Hadas Kotek. I am a linguist in industry. I've been a member of the LSA for maybe 15 years. I've been most consistently active in the Committee on Gender, Equity, and Linguistics. I'm currently the outgoing chair of that committee, also been on the Committee on Fellowships and Institutes.
Thanks, Hadas. Miranda.
Hi, I'm Miranda McCarville. I am a lecturer and the multilingual writing specialist at Smith College over in Northampton, Massachusetts. I've been active and a member in the LSA since 2011. I have been the chair of the Linguistics and Higher Education Committee. I'm no longer chair, but I'm actively involved in that, and also on the Scholarly Teaching of Linguistics Special Interest Group, and now on the newly formed Committee on First Gen Access and Equity.
Thank you, Miranda. I look forward to hearing more about First Gen's committee. Sarah.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming today. My name is Sarah Murray, and I'm a faculty member in the Linguistics Department at Cornell University. I'm also one of the senior co-chairs for the program committee, along with Christine. This is our 3rd year, and we're kind of the primary people in charge of the program this year. I've been an LSA member since I was an undergrad in the early 2000s. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. And Christine, please.
Hi, I'm Christine Yu. I'm on linguistics faculty at University of Massachusetts Amherst. And as Sarah mentioned, I'm together with her, the current senior co-chair of the program committee. I've been a member of LSA since I was a grad student, and I forgot when that was, but I'm a lifetime member. Thank you.
Christine. Dran, over to you.
Hi, I'm at Penn State University on Susquehannock land. I've been a member of the LSA since I was an undergrad in the 2010s. And right now I'm active with the Linguistics and Higher Education Committee and the First Gen Committee, as well with Miranda.
Thanks, Dran. And Margaret.
Hi, everybody. I'm Margaret Vitullo. I am the new executive director of LSA as of February of this year. And it's a tremendous honor to be with you all here. And I look forward to seeing many of you in New York. Thanks for coming to this webinar. V, thanks for putting this together, and thanks to all the panelists for agreeing to join us today.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. To our participants, I hope that give you a bit of a flavor of the LSA members and whoever will be there with you in New York. Let's dive into further of introduction and setting the scene for our participants. Marlise, can I invite you to give a brief on LSA as an organization and also a description of what the annual meeting is going to look like for our participants? Thank you.
Thank you, V. The Linguistic Society of America is a very good platform to which you can come to present your work as well as learn so much from other participants to the conference. It is an organization that has so much to offer linguists across generations because what it brings you can last indeed a lifetime. It is really an excellent platform for you to get to know other people from the same generation of scholars, as well as older scholars, people in your field, people who are working in other subdisciplines that you can take advantage of. So to me, it is the place to go when you want not only to share your scholarship, as well as learn from the scholarship of others. It is a very, very busy conference in the sense that sometimes you have a hard time selecting which papers to go to. You have a number of parallel sessions, so be ready for that. But particularly this year, we have in our midst Brian Joseph, who is part of the Centennial Committee, as well as Christine Yu and Sarah Murray, who are the program committee. These two committees have put together an amazing program in order to celebrate our centennial, 100 years of LSA, and for all of us to reflect what the next 100 years should look like. So in my view, it's a particularly important conference to come to. And please, if you see any one of us who are today among the panelists, do not hesitate to come and talk to us so that you really give a face to this particular centennial celebration conference.
Thank you so much for that, Maurice. That sounds really exciting, and I look forward to seeing everyone in New York. Now, talking about New York, Christine and Sarah, I'll invite you to jump in here. Let's start with Christine first. The question for you is, as students, what are the must-attend sessions?
The amazing thing about the LSA is this amazing kind of big tent atmosphere where we have everything. If you go to a specialized conference, you won't see linguists as much from other subfields. The answer, I think, to what are the key sessions is whatever you want. And what that means is that when we designed the program, there were so many amazing selections from different areas that we're basically able to build in all the different subfields, kind of a track throughout the whole 3 days. So it's up to you to decide if you want to try to go to sessions that are a bit more right in your special area of expertise or interest, or if you also want to choose sometimes to broaden your horizons and be like, oh, wow, I've never been able to learn about this part of the field. Let's go to that. In the Oxford Abstract, you can search and bookmark things. And so really design your own key sessions.
Thanks, Christine. Now, Sarah, I'll give you a bigger challenge. Apart from the linguistic students, we also have early career linguists. We have a lot of linguists in academia, like you guys. We also have linguists beyond academia. So if there is one session that each of these groups should be attending, in your view as the chair of the program committee, what would that one session be?
A great and hard question. Just like Christine, I think I will highlight that there are lots of possible paths through the meeting, but what we have tried to do is to have plenary sessions where there are no competing sessions, where everybody goes, which is a really nice, those are really nice events. And within the parallel sessions, there are both talks as well as organized sessions. And there are a number of really fantastic organized sessions, both focused on linguistic areas, but also organized by our wonderful special interest groups and other committees. So those are really great things to look out for.
That's awesome. Thank you, Sarah and Christine.
One thing is also we should mention we have 3 poster sessions on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's an amazing opportunity for having nice conversations and just seeing a range of things. So that's also always a fun highlight.
Great point. And those are plenaries with nothing scheduled against them either. And they're big sessions with, 70 or 75 posters. So you get a real range of the field.
Thank you. I know that the program committee works really hard in scheduling this year for New York. to make it easier for our participants to choose the sessions. Again, thank you, amazing effort there. Now, as you heard Marlies mention earlier, 2024 LSA annual meetings will have a huge celebratory sense to celebrate LSA 100 years of history. Now, Brian, I'll put a spotlight on you now. As the chair of the Centennial Committee, can you share with us some sort of the celebratory activities for our participants in New York?
Yeah, certainly. The LSA meetings are always special events, but this one promises to be as especially special. As to pick up on a theme that Marlies mentioned, the centennials are an opportunity both to look back over the history of the society, but also look to the future. So there's both a retrospective and a prospective approach. In our planning, we've decided to follow both of those mandates of the plenaries that the program committee has put together. Two of them are on the centennial related themes, one looking at the history and one looking ahead to what the future may bring to the field. Those will be Thursday night, and they promise to be very, very exciting events. There are also two panels on teaching of linguistics graduate training, one with older senior luminaries, we could say, who will reflect on what their training was like in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, as well as a panel that will have younger scholars that will talk about what they foresee being involved in as far as training of graduate students in our field is concerned in the coming decades. I won't say century, but in the coming decades at least. In addition, there will be a silent auction that I hope you'll all take part in, if not to purchase, at least to look at the interesting items that are on offer. They aren't all linguistic in nature, but many of them are. I think it'll be fun just to see the kinds of things that we're auctioning off. And the proceeds from the auction will go towards funding student travel to future LSA meetings. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on, and I welcome you all. Come up and tell me how much you're enjoying it when you're there in New York.
Thank you so much, Brian. I look forward to a lot of the 100-year celebrations in New York. Now, the next part of this webinar will provide our linguistics students with opportunities. Hadas, I'll start with you. Can you give us a bit of a brief about the Committee on Gender Equity in Linguistics and also the opportunities for our students in New York, please? Thank you.
Yes, the Committee on Gender Equity in Linguistics is tasked with monitoring and improving the status of gender minorities, including women, in our field. We have various initiatives every year, including data collection, mentoring, and making sure that we nominate diverse individuals. We suggest guidebooks and guidelines to try to improve how organizers organize their conferences and how you might use inclusive language. For this LSA, we have two events that you should know about and one opportunity. So start from the opportunity. Kaggle is going to offer 2 travel awards for this coming LSA, each in the amount of $500. And they are at the moment open to any student who wants to attend. You don't have to have any presentation at the event. In order to submit, I will make decisions pretty soon to make sure everyone has time to make their travel plans as well. Number 2 is Kaggle organizes on a regular basis mentoring events. We have a pop-up mentoring initiative that goes around to different conferences. These are one-time mentoring opportunities where you can sign up to have a conversation with someone with no strings attached. You meet once and maybe something comes of it, or maybe you just have a nice conversation, you meet someone. At the LSA, it'll be on Saturday at 1:30. You can sign up. You can say, I am an undergraduate who is interested in talking about applying to grad school, or I'm an early career professor and I'm interested in talking to someone about getting tenure, or I'm a senior grad student and I want to talk about jobs, either in industry or in academia, any of these things. And we will manually try to pair you with someone who can help you answer these questions or address them when we make sure to keep track of things. If you want to talk to someone who's an underrepresented minority, or if you want to talk to someone who is a syntactician, we try to make sure that we do as well as we can in pairing you up in this way. And the third thing to mention is Kaggle also has a committee meeting. We meet Saturday at 9, and it's going to be a meetup. You can have an opportunity to talk to other people who are interested in increasing diversity in linguistics and make friends. We'll talk about networking in a moment, but that's one networking opportunity. And we're always very happy to see new people join. Anyone can join our committee or just drop in and not join the committee as well. All of those things are possible. I think I covered everything.
That's certainly plenty. Please check the online programs to find out information about different committees' activities. Miranda, can I invite you to join the conversation and share information about the First Generation Access and Equity Committee, as well as the awards program that you are providing? Thank you.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm a member of the First Generation Access and Equity Committee. I'm also a First Gen student and faculty member. It's a new committee, and it works to advance the interests of First Gen linguists. Primarily, we are working to provide resources, advice, and opportunities for First Gen folks, and also trying to foster communication, identify those of us in this field that are First Gen, trying to highlight the work and the careers of First Gen linguistic scholars. Also, we have been organizing sessions, workshops, and networking events. Some of those include, we are putting on a webinar for designing a poster for the LSA. So keep an eye out on the LSA announcements for the date and time on that one. We also have a panel at the meeting this year on supporting First Gen students. And so this could be really excellent for later career linguists, even early career linguists that mentor other students and work directly with undergrads especially, and how to support them, and also to recognize the benefits and the strengths that they bring being First Gen students. At the thing, we also have a committee mixer. It's in the works. We haven't located a place yet, but it'll be off-site, and it's going to be for casual networking and support. So just come and meet us, learn about us. We also have a travel grant. We're very excited to have a $500 travel grant to award to a First Gen person who it's their first time attending the meeting. So we really want to get First Gen people attending the LSA meeting. And so you must be a first time attendee, a First Gen student. You do not have to be presenting at the LSA. And so we just want this to be a lower the cost of getting familiar and finding out the benefits of coming to the meeting. Go ahead and check it out. It closes on November 12th. We will try to get the winner the information right away so they can make their travel plans. Our committee meeting is going to be online this year. It's not going to be at the meeting. There's just so many things to do at the meeting. It gets really hard to even plan your committee meeting sometimes. And so we're going to be meeting January 11th online. So if you're First Gen and you're interested in supporting First Gen students and faculty, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Miranda. Marie, it's time to talk about COSIAC. As the chair of the Committee on Student Issues and Concerns, can you summarize the committee for us and the activities that you guys are hosting at the annual meeting?
Yeah, Committee on Student Issues and Concerns is a committee of students, by the students, for the students. We're always actively recruiting people who are interested in working on programming for students, both at the meeting and not at the meeting. In the spring, we hope to have some more webinars that are geared towards students in particular for these events. At the annual meeting, there will be a student mixer, which is always a really great event. There will be food, an opportunity to meet new people who you wouldn't usually meet. I also just want to make sort of a secondary comment that students are welcome at all events that are in the program. So in that sense, every event is a student event. You shouldn't feel like there's a panel that you are allowed to attend because you don't know enough or something. All of the events are welcome to students. I encourage you to check out the different things that are available.
Thank you so much, Marie. I hope the very quick and short introductions in the last half an hour also give you a bit of a sense of what's available for you guys at the annual meeting in New York. We are now moving to the second agenda item for the session today. We are going to share with you tips to maximize your experience at the annual meetings, because we have a lot of that questions in your registration. Now for this part, I will again go around the room, invite all of our panelists to give me your one best tip that you use to maximize your time at the annual meetings, and hopefully our participants will be able to learn from that. So can I start with Brian first, please?
Yeah, certainly. Actually, I have two tips. They're very practical in nature, but they are essential. First, take advantage of these floor plan for the hotel and familiarize yourself with the layout. It's really easy to get going in the wrong direction, to get in, to sit down in a room that's empty and you think, oh, I'm the first one here, when in fact, you're not in the right place at all. So familiarize yourself with the floor plan. And second, pack some protein bars or granola bars or the like, because oftentimes it's just hard to find time to get a real lunch or dinner. There are meetings at between 11:30 and 1, for instance. You want to go to the meeting, but you also want to eat lunch. What do you do? Well, come prepared. But those are 2 practical tips.
Thank you so much, Brian. Marlies, please.
So I have one major practical tip. Don't make the mistake that I made in my early years when I was a graduate student and I first started to go to the LSA. I was really intimidated and did not reach out to anybody. I would go to specific sessions and then disappear in my room. I didn't know anybody and I was very much isolated that way. So don't make that mistake. The tip is for you to be open to socializing and reach out to scholars who are in your subfield. In particular, when someone gives a talk that relates to your own research or academic path or non-academic path, whatever you're going to the LSA for, make sure that you reach out to the people who can bring you some useful information, with whom you can have important exchanges that can definitely shape your decisions. Don't be shy. Come to us. We are here today so that you can know what we look like, so that you can come to us if you see us. And above all, reach out to the people whose interests overlap with yours. Go to all the socialization events that you are going to have. And so please, yes, don't stay in your room.
Thanks, Marlies. You actually described me when I'm at conferences. So I look forward to the next agenda when we're talking about tips to expand our network and not to be shy. Marie, can I invite you to share your tips, please?
Yeah, I think the major tip I want to offer is, especially for students, it's allowed and encouraged for you to ask questions and participate in events. You shouldn't feel like you're just there to observe. If you see a really interesting talk, you should ask a question. There's no such thing as a bad question in these cases. So I want to encourage you all to participate if you feel inclined, because students have good ideas when they ask questions as well.
Thanks, Maurice. And Jordy, I feel that you want to build on to Marlie's idea before.
Yeah, piggybacking off Marlies' great advice there. Don't be shy to talk to people and engage with people. This is your chance to really build relationships with fellow linguists. It's hard and it can feel daunting if it's your first meeting, but just think of all the amazing people you can meet and learn from and grow with. And really don't be shy. I think this is a great opportunity just to meet amazing new people.
Thanks, Jody. Sarah, can I invite you to share your tip, please?
Great tips already. I also want to echo that everybody is welcome at all of the sessions, and especially to ask questions, interact. People usually love that. Also take care of yourselves. It can be a lot and overwhelming. And as for a tip for the program itself, I find looking at the program in advance and trying to bookmark or print out or highlight in some way some sessions that you want to look forward to, but also be flexible if something comes up.
That's awesome. Tran, any tip for us?
Yes, conference aftercare is a thing. You're actually going to have a wonderful time when you're there, but when you go back, remember, that person that you said you'd send that reference to, please do that. That new friend you'd make, please check up on them. Be like, hey, I saw you at the LSA and it was really great to meet you. That collaborator relationship you wanted to establish, like send that email. Is there a professor who covered your class for you while you were away at the LSA? You can write them a thank you card or bring them back a souvenir. I also need to block out time that I'm going to write my proceedings paper. I really actually want to reach out to the people I said I'd reach out to. You'll get promised a lot of things at the LSA by a lot of people. You can send them a reminder being like, weren't you going to send me that thing? And sometimes you'll be that person. So just have that moment where you're going to actually write down that specific actionable feedback on your talk, comments on your dissertation or something. You can read my 17 other tips on the link.
Thank you so much for putting that list together. Can I go to you for the tip, please?
Yes, 2, but they're related. One is, even for those of us who've been going for a while, so we are always interested and happy to meet new people. That's why we go to these events, both to meet up with friends and see people we haven't seen, but also to make new friends. And all of us are weird, anxious people. Like, even if you've been going for 20 years, some of us still get very anxious about meeting new people. So it's not just you. But there are some ways to facilitate meeting people in an easier environment. So some events are smaller, like the committee meetings, poster sessions, especially if you go to a poster session and someone's just standing there and they're not talking to anyone, they would love for you to come and talk to them. That's a good way to make a new friend. Or if you want to meet someone who you might think is kind of intimidating, email them ahead of time. Find them, know that they're going, and be like, hey, I see you're going to be at the LSA. Can we grab a coffee? I'm free at these times. People are always very happy to do these things. So try that too if you're too worried to just walk up to someone and be like, hi, can I talk to you now? That works for me.
Yes, and I find particularly the after sessions discussion is what makes the in-person experience a lot more special. We can engage through content anywhere, but engage through the authors of that content. That only happen at in-person events. Hopefully you guys can capitalize on that in New York. Miranda, your tip for us, please.
Okay, I'm eminently practical on this one on maximizing, right? Look over the schedule before the conference. When we used to not get the schedule till we got there, you would have to spend a good 15, 20 minutes going through and highlighting everything you were going to go to, right? And you'd carry around your big book. But now we know ahead of time. So go into that app, bookmark the things you want to see, make sure that you know what you want to. But also, I highly recommend that you identify some downtime. Going to these is intellectually stimulating, but also overwhelming at times. You just learn so much and you almost get overwhelmed. Your brain just gets full. There's just so much excitement. I always say find some time where you can maybe go to your hotel room. You could go out somewhere, just some time where you can regroup, kind of process all this information that you learned. Don't feel like you have to attend every single session because you will get burnt out. I mean, you may not realize that by Saturday afternoon, you're like, I can't think anymore. So I'm just going to stare. And my other tip, which is also an practical, sorry to have to, do not get coffee at the hotel. It's going to be a line. Every linguist, every academic needs coffee. That line's going to be ridiculously long. Leave the hotel. It is Manhattan. Walk half a block, find another coffee shop, grab your coffee. It's half the price. It's half the wait. Trust me.
It's extremely practical. Thank you so much for that. Christine, over to you, please.
Yeah, I have a tip echoing Miranda's. I was going to say my mistake when I first started was trying to go to every single talk possible that I could go to. And yeah, as Miranda was mentioning, at some point you already, or well, if you weren't a zombie already because of jet lag and stuff, you're going to become more zombie-ish. But you know what I've noticed at other conferences, and this includes the LSA, is the surprising number of people who aren't attending talks. As much as, you know, Sarah and like me and the program committee are excited about the program, it's totally okay to not go to talks and instead sometimes, for example, in addition to downtime, meet up with someone. So yeah, I want to echo that. Don't go to every single thing. And I guess one last thing, as I mentioned, if you're jet lagged and tired and etc., so is your audience. So if you're a presenter, just keep that in mind when you're making up your presentation.
Thanks, Christine. A lot of great tips so far. So Margaret, hopefully you can wrap it strong for us. Thank you.
The pressure is on. Two things that are follow-ups on some other people's. If you're feeling shy and you're in a reception, just go find someone who's not talking to someone, because that person is going to be so happy when you go up to them and start talking to them. It's a great way to get to know people. Plan a question or two that you're going to ask people, just so you already have that in your back pocket. But going up to someone else who's not talking to anybody. Also, even if you're not someone who's shy, it's a great way to draw people in and make them feel comfortable. And then the other thing, sort of following up on Brian's point about protein bars and Miranda's point, I think, about going out to coffee shops, grab a sandwich. And if you end up buying breakfast, buy lunch at the same time and throw it in your backpack, or buy some extra stuff to have in your backpack while you're out. And it is completely fine to eat in sessions. Don't be shy. So grab your lunch, pull it out in the session. You'll see me doing that a lot. I haven't been to lots of LSA annual meetings, but I've been going to academic annual meetings for 30 years or so. So they're pretty much the same tips apply. And hats off to Tran. What an amazing list of suggestions. I just want to give him some props on that and point out one particular thing on it that he says is go to committee meetings. You might think, why would I do that? But actually, if the committee that you're interested in isn't having a meeting, reach out to the chair of that committee. You can find them on the website and offer to volunteer. You can say, I don't have a lot of time, but is there some small way I can be of help? Because that's a fabulous way to get involved. I was someone who felt very unsure of myself, but if I could have a role when I was a graduate student, then I would be like, okay, well, I can do this thing that I've been asked to do. So I guess that would be my final thing, with props to all of you all, but especially Chen for that amazing list.
Thank you so much. We are moving on to the next agenda item, tips to expand your network at the LSA Annual Meeting. Again, I'll go around the room. Each of you give me your one best tip. And this time, can I start with you, Tran?
Well, I use the LSA as something to problematize what I think is part of linguistics and what is not part of linguistics. Depending on what your departmental context is, you might have a certain view of what is part of linguistic inquiry and what isn't. And every time I go to the LSA, I think, wow, there are people working on this, and I would never see this in my department. So you actually may not have a sense of what your deficiencies are until you go to the LSA. So obviously, you should prioritize going to things with potential collaborators, people you might want as an external member in your committee, people who you've just cited and read over and over for sure. But definitely, if you have a moment when you're looking through the abstracts, I didn't even know this was a linguistic question, definitely go to that talk. Especially now that I'm teaching at the undergraduate level, those tend to be the questions that students in Ling 100 and Ling 1 and so forth, they actually want to know about things like that. Depending on what your background is, you might just not know very much about, I don't know, prosody. I know very little about prosody, and what little prosody I know, I learned at the LSA. So think about what you think linguistics is and have that be exploded in a very, very positive way.
Thank you, Tran. Christine, can I invite you to share next, please?
Yeah, Hadass already mentioned this, but I often recommend my students to take a look through the program and see who's presenting, and potentially email someone if you're citing over and over again, for example, and see if maybe you can arrange a meeting in advance. But if that isn't possible or you're feeling shy, something that we worked on doing this year is having breaks after each session, I believe 15 minutes. And in that 15 minutes after a session is over, that's a perfect time where you can go up and ask questions of presenter and initiate conversation with them, because you already have a starting point. And then at that point, you could potentially arrange a meeting later and so forth. That's my tip.
Thanks, Christine. Miranda, can I invite you to share your tip, please?
I am an extremely extroverted person. I don't feel that anxious. I just get so excited by the meeting. So come talk to me. If you have nobody to talk to, you can totally talk to me. I will talk your ear off. Maybe you need that, maybe you don't. But one thing that I noticed that can help is sit in public areas and put your computer down, right? Make yourself accessible. If you're waiting in line, we tend to just drop right on our phones. I do this too. The person next to you is probably a linguist, right? Just spark up a conversation, say, hey, what's your session have you liked so far? Or have you found anywhere to go eat? Have you found anywhere that has great coffee? Maybe you found those things, right? But just sitting in the public spaces, going into the student room, making yourself physically available and putting out the body language that you want to talk to people. If you don't want to talk to people, yeah, put up your phone. It's okay. Alone time is good. And also something that I've started doing is that if I go in to eat in a place, I see people sitting around eating, and I see somebody by themselves, I ask if I can sit next to them. Maybe they do want to be alone, but maybe they don't know anybody and they do want somebody to talk, just to say hi to, right? And if you don't want them, you can say, oh, no, I'm waiting for somebody. It's okay. Those social lives work.
That's very subtle. Thank you, Miranda. Hadass, your tip, please.
Yeah, I want to say I made the best connections at conferences in general with peers. Senior people are great, but I think peers are some of the most important people you can meet. They're going to be the ones who stay with you, who proceed with you at the same kind of pace, who go into the job market at the same time as you, who you may be collaborating with. I've made a bunch of connections with people who went into industry and eventually were the ones who showed me how to leave myself and get a job and recommended me and did all kinds of wonderful things for me. Those are wonderful connections to make, and they're usually easier connections to make. So if you're not sure where to start, I think that's a good place to start.
But for us, thank you. Sarah, can I go to you next?
Yes, actually, sort of relatedly, if you know anybody who's going, even from another institution, reach out to them and you can try to go to things together or introduce each other to people that you already know. So I agree with Hadas, like all kinds of connections are important, and forging those peer connections and then in a group, maybe attending some of the events, it's a nice way to do it.
Thank you. Marie.
I'm a big fan of friend of a friend introductions. A lot of times it feels easier to meet people sort of around your own age. Like I'm a student, so it feels easier for me to talk to graduate students than to like a full professor somewhere. But other graduate students have advisors and faculty that are at their institutions that they can introduce you to also. So if you don't know someone, maybe someone you know does know them and can help you by doing an introduction. So that can feel easier than just going up to someone that you don't know.
Thanks, Maurice. Marlies, please.
Yes, I mean, I cannot overemphasize preparation. Several of you, I think it was Christine or someone else who said, go in there fully prepared in terms of having identified which sessions, which talks you want to go to. And once you have done that, is really reach out to whatever scholars are presenting their work that you know is either of interest to you, overlapping with yours. It just provides a perfect opportunity for you to talk to that scholar about common interests. And that's going, of course, to be based on that very intentional planning that you have to meet such and such individuals. So for me, it's all about being prepared to broaden your network based on common interest and different career paths. Go in there fully having envisioned who you want to reach out to.
Thank you so much. And Brian, please.
Sure. All of these tips are excellent. And I'm reminded of the adage apparently attributed to William Butler Yeats that a stranger is just a friend that you haven't met yet. So if you're shy, you may well summon up the courage to just go and talk to someone. I think that the tip of look for someone who isn't talking with someone and go introduce yourself to them is an excellent way of turning that stranger into a friend.
Awesome. Margaret, please.
Yeah, I want to encourage you to consider the exhibitors as part of your potential network. There are all sorts of publishers that will be there. If you think your dissertation might turn into a book, or if you are an early career scholar, or you're trying to figure out your next project, it is completely fine to go talk to publishers and say, tell me about how much of a prospectus you would need for getting a book contract. Tell me about the process. What recommendations do you have? What kind of books do you all publish? Those are all perfectly reasonable things to ask. You'll also find journals there. There are all sorts of places where you can go and get information and talk to people about your next projects. And the exhibit hall is a great place to do that. The folks there will be very excited to talk with you. You can't be too early in the process. It's okay.
Thanks.
Can I mention one thing that hasn't been brought up yet? That there are these so-called sister societies
Yes.
that meet at the same time as the LSA, and you should take advantage of those as well. They expand the program almost exponentially. There oftentimes are a lot of interesting papers on American dialects through the American Dialect Society, or the history of linguistics through the NAHOLS and such. They're an added bonus to the LSA material.
Thanks, Brian. And for participants here, program of the Sister Society will also be available on the online program. Jordy, can I go to you and wrap this up strong for us? Thank you.
So for me, whenever I go to conferences or meetings, it's not always about making connections. It's about building relationships, because these relationships can last a long time and can be so wonderful for you, not just in your career, but in your personal life. These connections can have longevity. So really think about people that you really want to get to know and build those relationships with, because they could last a lifetime if you have a genuine connection and interest. So yeah, thank you.
I appreciate that. At the end of the day, it's about a relationship rather than the tangible aspect of it. This is the end of our agenda for the webinar today.
Who could talk a little bit about WODI and 5-Minute Linguist for the folks who haven't been there?
I can start with WODI. Word of the year, right? So I think outside of our linguistics proper, this is probably the most famous thing about us. This is the American Dialect Society to solicit nominations for not only word of the year, emoji of the year, not portmanteau, but we have another one like that. A whole bunch of different, what we think are great words that we've been using in the last year. Nominations are submitted, they're vetted to the American Dialect Society, and then we all get into one room and have some of the best fun at the LSA. We have a lovely snarky commentator during it, which is what we exactly need. Yeah, I go there just for that. And you get to vote. You get to, even if you feel like it, and I do see students do this, stand up and say like why you think that should be word of the year, emoji of the year, or why you think we shouldn't do that. And so we had really wonderful discussions about the city last year. And for me, it's one of the highlights of the LSA because we get together, we're much more relaxed, it's really fun. And so I'll let somebody else talk about 5-minute linguist though.
One other thing about the word of the year, it's not just a single word of the year. There are a dozen or more different categories. So there's an awful lot of opportunity for interesting discussions about novel words in the past year, novel usage and such.
Thanks, Brian. Can anyone in the room also share with us what the 5 minutes linguist session is about, please? Marlies, can I call on you?
Yes, I was about to unmute and volunteer. Like Miranda, I get very excited with the 5-minute linguist. I think it's the other highlight next to Word of the Year. So you have those linguists who make proposals with respect to presenting in a way that is understandable, either the dissertation or the project that they're working on within 5 minutes. They haven't the importance of their topic to the general public, and then you get to vote. And I think it's very stimulating because you get to learn. In every single case, I learned something new about linguistics that I didn't know. And it's just very lively and very entertaining while being very informative. So I really encourage you to attend that event, in addition to Word of the Year that Miranda was talking about.
That's awesome. Before I close down, does any of our panelists want to offer one last word of wisdom before we see each other in New York? Anyone want to raise your hand or unmute?
I just want to make sure that you come and introduce yourself to us, saying, this is my first time, and please start the dialogue. It will be much harder for us to identify you, but I think after this session, you should be able to identify us, so come to us. We are here to help you navigate the first conference.
Thanks, Marlies. That is actually a very good note. For the LSA Secretariat team, can we just say very quickly where the members can find us at the annual meetings? Can I start with Margaret first?
I'm going to be all over the place. I'm going to be going from session to session and doing all sorts of things. But if you see me, stop me. I'd love to learn your name and have a chance to say hello. So don't be shy.
Thanks, Margaret. Jordy?
Sure, you can find me mostly at the registration desk, and feel free to reach out to us before the meeting or anytime if you have any questions or concerns. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thanks, Jordy. For myself, I'll be organizing another first-time attendee sessions on the first day of the program. So watch out for information on that. And you will also see me during the awards ceremony and the business meeting. But by all means, like Margaret said, if you see me on the hallway, stop me because I'd love to learn more from you. All right, let's wrap up. Yes, Margaret?
And am I right that the people who are in this session should go ahead and come to the one that will be in person, because you're going to be helping people get to know each other individually at that session? Is that correct?
Thank you for giving me that plug. Yes. So for you guys, first timer as well as anyone attending the annual meeting by yourself, I'll send you information about the first time sessions at the annual meetings where we'll run a couple of ice-breaking activities so that you can find your conference buddy. It's about that relationship. So hopefully you'll be able to find your new peers at that particular questions. Travel safely, and we all look forward to seeing you in New York. Thanks everyone. Have a good day.